This is the new BMW M135, no longer with an I. And this is the refreshed Mark 8 Volkswagen Golf GTI, and now you can scream at the monitor and type furiously that I should have brought a Golf R to this comparison because BMW has no compact front-wheel drive car with comparable power. However, I think an all-wheel drive hot hatch is a bit too serious. It's enough they are both automatic because you are too lazy to shift gears yourselves. Sure, drop me a comment why I'm wrong while I roll the intro. You'll find reviews of both of these cars on my channel, links in the video description. If you're here for the first time, if you're new here, click subscribe, press the bell icon and do all the other stuff to get notifications about new reviews and comparisons I post. Channel members get early ads-free access to new videos, so consider becoming a channel member. It's not expensive. In this video, I'll compare design, boot space, rear seats, cockpit, powertrain, ride and handling. So let's get on with it, shall we? Before I get to design, let's look under the bonnets of both cars. BMW M135 xDrive is powered by a 2-liter 4-banger producing 300 horsepower. Because of emissions, BMW had to cut 6 horsepower from the European cars. However, in some markets you also get a 317 horsepower version. BMW scores points for an engine cover with some fake carbon and an M badge. I know BMW top brass doesn't believe in opening the bonnet because that's a job for authorized dealer who can charge a premium price for it. But I suspect people who buy hot hatches sometimes meet other like-minded hot hatch owners and they like to show off the hearts of their pride and joy. Sorry. Volkswagen fails miserably. It may have a front end lit up like a Christmas tree, but under the bonnet is a generic VW Group engine cover from any 4-cylinder engine. You're going to be the laughing stock at GTI Treffen. But at least the power is up from 245 to 265 horsepower, so you can tell pre-facelift owners all about it. Yours is 245 horsepower. I see. Yeah, mine has 265, so design. I picked the world's 2 most boring cars. From the front, the new BMW 1 Series now looks like a Ford Focus and the refreshed Golf looks like whatever, if it weren't for the front illumination. I don't know if BMW is slowly moving away from illuminated radiator grills or is it something that's about to become an option in its accessory catalog. In any case, the Volkswagen screams from a distance that here comes the V-dub. I really like the fog lights on the Golf GTI. Too bad they are not daytime running lights because I'd keep these on all the time. On the side, not much is happening. BMW now has a badge on the C-pillar which says 1. At the rear, both cars make it clear that they are dinosaurs, as they not only have visible but also real exhaust tips. The BMW even has double exhaust tips. The Golf R would also be double barrel, but this is only a humble GTI. In my opinion, the BMW has a more interesting diffuser as standard, and there are M performance accessories if you want your 1 Series to look like a tuned-up Golf. Dimensions. The BMW is 436 cm long, the Volkswagen 429 cm. The width is 180 and 179 cm respectively, the height is 146 and 147 cm, and the wheelbase is 267 and 263 centimeters. But the dimensions don't tell you the truth about the interior space. The BMW 1 Series has a boot capacity of 380 liters in 5-seat configuration, and with the seats In the second row down, it's 1200. The 120 and 120D variants are mild hybrids and have smaller boots, 300 and 1135 liters, as the extra MHEV stuff takes up space under the boot floor. The rear seat splits 40-20-40, which, by the way, is still an option in BMW's premium fashion. The boot is identical to the previous generation. It also features a folding floor which stays open, but it can also be removed to carry something larger. However, then it's best to leave it at home. I would have preferred a drop-down floor. On the plus side, the partial shelf fits perfectly under the floor. In addition, there are two afterthought shopping bag hooks, a niche on the right side, and that would be it. Dimensions. The width is 101 centimeters. The length to the seats is 74 centimeters, and after folding the backrest in the second row, the length to the passenger seat pushed all the way forward is 166 centimeters. The height from the top floor to the partial shelf is 41 centimeters, and when the floor is folded away, from the bottom of the boot to the partial shelf, it's 59 centimeters. The tailgate is electrically operated. There are buttons for closing it and a separate one to close it and at the same time lock the car. To the best of my knowledge, electrically operated tailgate in the Golf is an option, and it's only available in the station wagon variant, which is called the variant. I don't know if an executive decision was made to lighten the GTI and therefore weaker gust struts were used, or is it just a stupid cost-saving measure, but this is not what I expect from the Golf. You serious? Guys. The boot is simple and functional as one would expect from a Golf. There are two shopping bag hooks, a 12-volt outlet, a drop-down floor, and a mini spare underneath. The partial shelf fits under the floor, sort of, but it's not as easy as in the BMW. If you know how to do it without worrying about breaking it, let me know in the comment section below. The boot volume is 374 liters in the 5-seat configuration and 1230 liters with the second row seats folded. The rear seat split 60-40, but there is a ski hatch. The width is 106 centimeters, the length to the seats is 74 centimeters, and with the second row backrest folded, there is 166 centimeters to the passenger seat pushed all the way forward, just like in the BMW. Height to the partial shelf in the upper floor setting is 42 centimeters and 52 when the floor is lowered. As I mentioned earlier, the BMW may be bigger from the outside, but that doesn't translate into a bigger interior. The width of the rear seat is 133 centimeters, and at elbow level, it's about 140 centimeters. I have 12 centimeters legroom, 8 centimeters headroom, and I'm 175 centimeters tall. There are large door pockets, cup holders in the armrest, USB-C ports, air conditioning vents, and a large tunnel. The front seat bags are lined with hard plastic, which probably makes them easier to keep clean if you're hauling small children who rest their feet against them. Isofix anchor points are on the rear seats as well as on the front passenger seat. Assuming you like the two-tone upholstery and silver inserts on the doors, the rear isn't boring, but it's tighter than in the Golf. Because here, while the seat width is only 127 centimeters, there is 146 centimeters at elbow level. I'm still 175 centimeters tall, and behind the driver's seat set to my driving position, I have 16 centimeters of legroom. The headroom is about 10 centimeters. In general, despite the fact that the Series 1 F70 is 2.5 centimeters taller than the F40, the Golf is more comfortable to get in and out of. Compared to the BMW, the Golf's rear seats are much more subtle. In the GTI, there's at least the checkered upholstery. In the non-sporty variants, it's much more dull. There are large door pockets and cup holders in the armrest. There are USB-C ports, air conditioning vents, and a high tunnel running through the center as well. There are many pockets in the front seat backs, so passengers have somewhere to put away not only a book but also a phone. Isofix anchor points are on the rear seats as well as on the front passenger seat. BMW's cockpit is now fully integrated for the new infotainment system. 2/3 of the dashboard width is taken by a dual display. I've got used to it. Okay. I still think though, BMW should let its users display an imitation of the classic analog gauges. Heck, they could even sell them in an app store rather than selling you optional heated seats. It's a free idea. You can do whatever you want with it. I'd pay for those funky skins. Ambient lighting reacts, for example, when you change the temperature. However, the side part of the ambient lighting is reflected in the wing mirrors at night. How late in the design process did the car leave a studio? Couldn't this be changed before going into production? As for BMW OS 9, there is very little physical switchgear. Only a lights menu button on the indicator stock, several buttons on the steering wheel, and buttons for window defroster, parking assist, and drive modes around the gear selector. However, they are flush, so finding the right one requires taking your eyes off the road. Even the steering wheel heater has to be turned on with several clicks on the screen. Sure, the seat and steering wheel heaters turn on automatically when I set the cabin heating to a higher temperature, but I don't need a sauna. I just want to warm my hands and my butt. And the shifter paddles by the steering wheel feel really cheap. Other than that, there are large door pockets, decent cup holders, 2 trays, one of them featuring a wireless charger, and a small storage compartment under the armrest. The glove box is small as well. The seats are very comfortable, which is not obvious for units with integrated headrests. The seats are electrically controlled and have setting memory. As this is only the facelift of the Golf, the cockpit is still a bit of a transition from the days when base spec cars could still be designed with analog gauges in mind. If memory serves me right, the production model was digital dash only though. Anyway, the driver's screen can imitate, and imitate is the key word here, analog gauges. There's a separate large infotainment system display in the middle of the dashboard. It is larger than in the pre-facelift model, and the software works a lot better than it did at the beginning. Customer feedback was that in 2020 Volkswagen launched the software equivalent of cow manure. I don't mean to say that MIB4, that's what the current system version is called, is a leading solution. BMW certainly has a better infotainment system, and I detest OS 9 with all my heart. What Volkswagen is offering is simply less bad than anything currently available in the Stellantis car-like products. Great job for giving us back physical buttons on the steering wheel, including the steering wheel heater button. I'm less partial to the touch-sensitive buttons for lights, windows heating and drive modes, although it's good to have them as a backup to the settings buried in the infotainment system menu. The door pockets are generous. The cup holders, actually 1.5 cup holder, are unfortunately an example of how Volkswagen went astray a few years ago. For some reason, the wireless charger won't charge phones in protective cases. It works in the BMW, but not here. There are USB-C ports. The storage compartment under the armrest is small. It's nice that the armrest is two-way adjustable, but sliding it out limits access to the cup holder. The glove box is average size. The seats are manual. In my opinion, they are not as comfortable as those in the BMW. I can feel it in my spine. Now, I could be the only person who finds these seats problematic, but I suggest you demand a longer test drive, just in case. I'll start with the performance. The new M135 is not only heavier and less powerful than its predecessor, but it's also a tenth of a second slower from 0 to 100 km per hour. I checked, and instead of claimed 4.9 seconds, in sport mode with launch control I achieved 4.8 seconds. In normal mode I was a second slower. Now, some 10 years ago, BMW went through a phase of cars with no feedback. The M135 is, unfortunately, like those cars. It's a tool for driving fast without thinking. You get in, put the car in D, press the gas, and the M135 flies through gears until you lose your license. The steering is precise, but it lacks feel. The suspension is so good that the car sticks to the road, but I can't feel when it may lose grip. I don't know where this car's limits are. Well, I guess they're well beyond my capabilities, and that could end badly. These types of hot hatches often end up in the hands of drivers with egos that exceed their skills. Let's hope they have good reflexes and use the brakes, which, by the way, are excellent. In addition to average soundproofing, there is artificial sound pumped through the speakers. The M135 doesn't sound good at all. Maybe BMW will sell you a better optional exhaust, because this thing sounds like a strained four-banger. The M135 isn't easy to live with daily. After a few hours I got a feel for how to add throttle to make better use of the turbo, easy to squeeze into a gap, easy to maneuver quickly. Realistic fuel consumption, if you use the car as intended, is about 10 liters per 100 kilometers combined. The fuel tank capacity is 50 liters. The M135 can tow up to 750 kilograms. The 265 horsepower Golf GTI, because there's also a 300 horsepower Clubsport version, should accelerate from 0 to 100 km per hour in 5.9 seconds. I checked and, surprise, surprise, I reached 5.8 seconds in sport mode with launch control, but 5.7 seconds in normal mode. To be confirmed in the summer on dry road and summer tires, because the sport setting of traction control, which has to be activated for the launch control to work, allows too much slip. The Golf GTI likes to rev. The exhaust and the engine can be heard not only inside but also outside the cabin. Now, when driving fast, I can feel the car communicating with me. The steering tells me when the road surface changes and when the electronic diff is at its limit. Also, the suspension allows the car to dance a bit, so I know when I can push harder or when I need to back off. Speaking of suspension, the dynamic chassis control, or DCC, has been magically reworked, fixed in the Golf GTI, so it doesn't thump on every bump like in just about any other VW product for as long as I can remember. Speaking of suspension, check out the personal mode, where you can configure, for example, sport settings for the steering and powertrain, but leave the suspension in comfort mode. Visibility is good, brakes are effective, the driver assist features are like in recent VW products, so for example the front collision warning is overzealous, which is especially annoying in a hot hatch. As in the BMW, driving as intended will cost you at least 10 liters per 100 kilometers combined. The Golf GTI seems to have a wider fuel consumption range than the BMW, especially when it comes to the upper extreme. The fuel tank capacity is also 50 liters. The Golf, even the GTI, can tow up to 1600 kilograms. The roof and the hitch load is 80 kilograms. Here a brief comparison of the headlights in both vehicles. It's the same road, more or less the same time, about an hour till dawn. I did sync the starting point, but the driving speed may be different, so I will show you a couple of screenshots. You can see here that BMW's headlights do a better job at illuminating sides of the road. Also, BMW's headlights are more fluid at avoiding vehicles approaching from the opposite direction. It's not necessarily more effective, but more fluid, which, in my opinion, is less tiring for the driver. Prices of the BMW M135 start at 56,200 euro. This test car with options costs 67,820 euro. Prices of the Volkswagen Golf GTI start at 45,655 euro. With options, this test car costs 57,150 euro. Price aside, the BMW M135 is an easy choice for someone who simply wants to drive a hot hatch and not to think about it. The Volkswagen GTI is, in my opinion, a car for someone who actually likes feedback while driving, and that's something cars are often missing these days. And which one of these two hot hatches suits you better? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.